Aita for dumping my GF after she drunkenly called me a puss for being abused by my mom? TW abuse. I'm sorry for making this post longer than it needs to be. I, 22M, and my GF, 24F, have been together for 3 years. As context, I was viciously abused by my mother for the majority of my childhood. I was the result of an affair and her husband divorced her because of me. My bio dad was gangbanger and went to jail when I was 6. The moment he went to jail, my mom started taking her frustrations about her failed marriage and miserable living situation out on me. I was an afterthought and a punching bag while my older sister was her true baby. If my sister got bad grades, it was okay. If I got bad grades, I was beaten until I started having seizures. If I started crying, my mom would lock me outside. We lived in Chicago and sometimes she would lock me outside during the middle of winter. I tried telling people about the abuse, but I was always framed as a liar, and in our community my mom had a pristine image, so in their eyes she could do no wrong. In my mother's words, I was a sorry bottom wizard that no mother would want. If it wasn't for my sister, I would probably be dead by now. She would sneak her jackets out of the house when my mom locked me out, snuck food into our room when my mom refused to let me eat, and would bring me ice packs and let me cry in her arms after my mom was done beating me. I am and will forever be grateful for her. To this day I consider her to be my actual mother. A few months after I turned 18, I ran away to Indiana. Besides keeping in contact with my sister and a few friends, to everyone else I just disappeared from the face of the earth. It was tough. I had a few distant relatives there and they would let me occasionally crash on their couch, but for the most part, I was homeless. Eventually I did land a job at a grocery store, and with a bit of financial help from my sister, I was able to rent a small apartment. I met my now ex-GF while working at that grocery store. I was about to turn 19 and she was 20. After working a few shifts together, we eventually started casually seeing each other, which eventually grew into a full-on relationship. I never really opened up her about after my last GF left me after I drunkenly opened up to her. I just lied enough to explain my constant nightmares, occasional seizures, and why I would cringe hearing a Latina woman's accent. I just wanted to forget that part of my life. 2 years into dating each other, we moved in together. I eventually got a better job working at a call center. Around the same time, me and my sister started losing contact. Besides occasionally checking up on each other and wishing each other happy birthday, we didn't text each other. Last I heard from her, she had a new BF. All that changed recently. My sister randomly texted me saying she wanted to come visit me in Indy. At this point I haven't seen her in 3.5 years, so I obviously said yes. I told my GF that my sister and her BF were coming to crash at our place for a few days. This was their first time meeting each other, so I was kinda nervous. She arrived at our place while my GF was home and I was at work. I spent the next few days catching up and me scoping out her BF. I have always been a bit protective of her. Even tried beating up the boys she brought over when I was 10, lol. I did see a weird change in my GF around the same time. It felt like she was walking on eggshells around me. I did bring it up to her, but she would just tell that it was nothing and I was imagining things. The day after my sister and her BF left, me, my GF, and a few of our friends went out clubbing. I remember her friends giving me a weird look throughout the night. I didn't drink much, but my GF was nearly blackout drunk. I decided to call it a night and get an Uber home since my GF could barely stand anymore. I literally had to drag her out of the club. While everyone was waiting outside for their Uber to arrive, my GF started throwing a fit about leaving so soon. It was 2 a.m. She started calling me a puss and some shit about how I was just probably insecure about some guys hitting on her or something like that. Neither do I remember seeing any guys hitting on her, nor do I really give a shit since I trusted her enough to simply reject them. I knew she was drunk and kept my cool until she said something on the lines of, "No wonder your mom used to beat you." Everyone just fell silent and stared at her. She then clearly told me, "Don't worry. Your sister told me everything, you fucking puss." At this point her friends tried to shut her up and started pleading with her to do it at home, whatever that's supposed to mean. I was beyond fuming. I just took out my phone and followed the car icon on the Uber app. I wanted to stop myself from doing something that I might regret later. She kept on going on about how I'm a puss for letting a woman overpower me or something. After that I just blocked out whatever other BS came out of her mouth. The Uber ride home was silent. I didn't even respond to the small talk the driver tried to start with me. All I could think about was what my GF said earlier. I didn't even notice her starting to sob next to me. When we walked into the apartment, she started full-on crying and begged me for forgiveness. She said wasn't thinking straight and she didn't mean what she said, etc. I just told her to shut the fuck up and to go to bed. I tried sleeping on the couch. I couldn't. I decided to end things with her a few hours later. She was completely passed out on our bed, so I just started packing my things and loaded whatever I could into my car. I'm currently staying at a friend's place and she's been trying to reach me nonstop. I'm not mad at my sister for telling my GF since she didn't mean any harm and probably just wanted to tell her what I went through. I'm purely mad at my GF. That's not something you say to someone you love. My ex was always insistent on me opening up to her more, and her reaction to hearing what I went through just pisses me off. Seriously, why do some women want their so to open up about their emotions/past if they know they're only going to shame them for it? A part of me believes that she meant what she said, but the other part of me believes that she was just drunk and I was overreacting and should give her a chance to explain herself, but her friends have also been texting me that I'm an AH for leaving even though I knew she was drunk and that my GF has been trying to apologize to me. Am I going too far? Should I give her a second chance? Am I actually the a-hole here? I'm overwhelmed by everything happening and just need some advice. A part of me doesn't want to start over again. I've done that enough in my life. She is the second girl I've dated that has had a negative reaction to the things I went through, so I believe I should take a bit off the blame here as well and should have told my sister to keep her mouth shut regarding my past. This will probably be the last time I let anyone else hear my story.